My name is Luo Yongqi. I am 25 years old. 3 years ago, I became Fu Enzo's secret wife, silently enduring a marriage that was never mentioned. When he adorned his mistress with a multi-million-dollar necklace on a dating variety show, and coldly handed me the divorce papers, I chose to end the game. The game was over, and my true identity was about to be revealed. After 3 years of secret marriage, my CEO husband told me to get lost. So I made one call and asked my billionaire dad to ruin everything. I am the secret wife of Fu Enzo. He brought his new flame, Sujiana, onto a dating show. The trending topics are all about how they're a match made in heaven. His assistant delivered the divorce papers and relayed his message. President Fu says, "Stop pestering him. This is the last bit of dignity he is giving you," right in front of the live cameras of the variety show. I looked into the reflection and dialed a number. "Dad, the game's over. I want Fu Corporation gone by sunrise." In the spacious living room, the giant television was streaming that insanely popular dating show, Signal of Heartbeat. My husband, Fu Enzo, was tenderly putting a diamond necklace worth tens of millions around Sujiana's neck. The host hyped it up. "Enzo, anything you want to say to Gianna?" Fu Enzo held Sujiana's hand, and the camera zoomed in on his ridiculously handsome side profile. His voice filled the entire room through the speakers, clear and cold. "Gianna is the one I want to spend my life with," the crowd screamed. The bullet comments exploded. "Aha! NSCP is real." Cannon sugar drop, deadly sweet. "That stalker Luo Yongqi can get lost, right? She keeps losing it saying she is Mrs. Fu. Like, has she looked in a mirror?" Expressionless, I stared at that familiar face on the screen. For the past 3 years, the owner of this face has slept beside my pillow every night. He would kiss my forehead in the morning, make me brown sugar ginger tea during my period, and gently call me Sixy. Now, he has given all that tenderness to another woman. Me phone buzzed. It was a message from Fu Enzo's assistant. "Madam, President Fu asked me to deliver this to you. Are you home?" Attached below was an image, divorce papers. I replied with one word, "Home." Half an hour later, the doorbell rang. I opened the door. The assistant, Xiao Chen, stood there looking conflicted, not daring to meet my eyes. He handed me a document and said in a low voice, "Madam," President Fu said, "signing it would be best for everyone." I took the thin stack of paper. The big bold title, "Divorce Agreement," stung my eyes. The property division section was laid out clearly. I would walk away with nothing. As compensation, he would give me a rundown old place in the suburbs and $1 million in cash. How generous. The wife of the Fu Corporation's president, 3 years of marriage, worth just $1 million. President Fu also said. Xiao Chen spoke with difficulty. "He hopes you won't claim to be his wife in public anymore, so as not to cause trouble for him and Miss Su. He wants to preserve your last bit of dignity." Dignity. I let out a soft laugh. But my eyes felt a little hot. I lifted my head. My gaze passed over Xiao Chen and landed on the huge decorative mirror on the wall behind him. In the mirror, the reflection showed the image on the living room television. Fu Enzo was holding Sujiana's hand, accepting blessings from the entire internet, and me, like some clown who couldn't see the light of day. I pulled out my phone and right in front of Xiao Chen, dialed a number I knew by heart. The call was picked up quickly, and a steady, doting male voice came through. "Baby girl finally remembered to call your old man. Dad," my voice was calm. "I'm done playing." There was a brief silence on the other end. Then a soft chuckle followed. "All right. If my baby girl doesn't want to play anymore, then we stop playing." The plan to take down the Fu Corporation can begin. I spoke slowly and clearly, my voice not loud, but it made Xiao Chen go pale in an instant. Remember, I want him bankrupt. No problem. My dad's voice was full of indulgence. Before dawn, I'll let you see the most spectacular fireworks show. I hung up and shredded the divorce papers into pieces, tossing them at Xiao Chen's feet. Go back and tell Fu Enzo. I looked into his terrified eyes, smiling brightly. I'm done preserving his dignity. Game's over. Time to settle the score. I shut the door, cutting off Xiao Chen's stunned stare. The phone started vibrating like crazy, one push notification after another popping up. Shocking. Fu Corporation's stock mysteriously crashed within 3 minutes of market open, evaporating billions instantly. Major scoop. Fu Corporation's core tech team collectively resigned and jumped ship to their biggest competitor, Global Tech. Exclusive. Fu Corporation's largest investor, Overseas Luo Capital, announced full divestment and is suing Fu Corporation for breach of contract. Each headline was more explosive than the last. On television, Fu, Enzo, and Sugiana were still flirting sweetly, clueless about the approaching storm. I poured myself a glass of red wine, leaned back on the sofa, and quietly enjoyed the show. This was just the appetizer. The phone rang sharply. It was Fu Enzo. I hung up. He called again. I hung up again. After several tries, he probably lost patience and sent a text. Luo Yongxi, what the hell are you playing at? I replied slowly and unhurriedly. A wedding gift for you, like it? He almost replied instantly, every word dripping with fury. Who do you think you are? You think you can shake the Fu family? Stop playing these childish games, end it now. I laughed. Who am I? I am Luo Mateo's only daughter, the sole heir to Luo Capital. The very Luo Capital, so rich it could rival nations, capable of making the global economy tremble. 3 years ago, I ran away from home to escape a family, arranged marriage, and by a twist of fate ended up saving Fu Enzo, who was being hunted by his enemies. He asked who I was, and I told him my name was Luo Yongxi. No parents, just an orphan. He believed me, and even said he'd take care of me for the rest of my life. So we got married. I put away all my sharp edges and wholeheartedly devoted myself to him, cooking, cleaning, being the unseen shadow behind him. I thought this was, looking at it now, it was nothing but a joke. The doorbell rang again. This time urgent and aggressive, like someone was about to tear the door down. I looked through the peephole. It was Xiao Chen, who had come back. His face was drenched in sweat, and he looked frantic. Ma'am, please open the door. It's President Fu on the phone. Something huge happened at the company. I didn't open the door. I turned around and walked into the walk. In closet inside, half of it was filled with Fu Enzo's custom-made designer suits, the other half cheap t-shirts and jeans I picked up from street stalls for a few bucks. I threw my few cheap clothes into the suitcase and left everything else untouched, including the jewelry he gave me, still sitting on the vanity. Those things, just like him, were filthy now. The phone was still ringing tirelessly. I blocked Fu Enzo and Xiao Chen, took out the SIM card, snapped it in half, and tossed it into the toilet. Then, I changed into a sharp black suit, put on delicate makeup, dragged my suitcase, and left this home I'd lived in for 3 years through the back door. Outside the villa, a line of black Rolls Royces had been waiting quietly for a long time. The head butler respectfully opened the car door for me. Miss, welcome home. I got in the car and it drove off smoothly. In the rearview mirror, that beautiful villa got smaller and smaller until it became a blurry shadow. Just like that ridiculous marriage between me and Fu Enzo. On the new phone was the latest update from my assistant. President Luo, all partners of Fu Corporation have unilaterally terminated their contracts. The banks have refused loans. The 3 biggest projects have stalled. And by 9 a.m. tomorrow, the court summons will be in Fu Enzo's hands. I replied with one word, okay. Then, I tapped into that dating reality show's live stream. Fu Enzo was no longer in front of the camera. The tone on the comment stream had shifted drastically. Is Fu Corporation going bankrupt? Oh my God, for real. Sujiana is so unlucky, just went public and already about to become the debt wife. Am I the only one curious who's behind screwing Fu Corporation? That move was massive, happened overnight. The next day, I appeared in the company headquarters conference room as the new president of Asia Pacific region at Luo Capital. Outside the huge floor-to-ceiling windows was the bustling financial district. In front of me stood a row of trembling company executives. They all knew that the one who brought down the Fu Corporation overnight was the massive business empire behind me. President Luo regarding the follow-up matters of Fu Corporation's bankruptcy liquidation. Acquire all quality assets. I cut him off, my voice flat and emotionless. As for Fu Enzo himself, I want him burdened with all the debt, never to recover for the rest of his life. Yes, the meeting ended, and my personal lawyer walked in. Miss Luo, Fu Enzo wants to see you. He's been waiting downstairs for 3 hours. Number, he said, if you won't see him, he'll keep waiting. I looked up and gazed out the window. By the fountain in the plaza below, there indeed stood a familiar figure. Once the high-spirited president of the Fu Corporation. He now stood there in a wrinkled suit, disheveled hair, a face full of exhaustion, like a stray dog. Beside him, there was no sign of Sujiana. When disaster strikes, everyone flees. Pretty damn real. I picked up the internal line phone. Security department? Please escort that man named Fu downstairs away. If he refuses to leave, call the police for harassment. I didn't expect Fu Enzo to actually have the nerve to barge in. God knows where he got an employee badge. He broke through security and kicked my office door open. Luo Yongxi, his eyes were bloodshot, like a beast cornered with no way out, staring at me with deadly intent. Why? He roared. Why did you do this? Are you really going to destroy our 3 years together? Seeing him like this, I suddenly found it hilarious. Relationship. I picked up my coffee and gently blew on the steam. President Fu, which relationship are you referring to? The one where you and Sujiana flaunted your love in front of the entire nation? Or the one where you tried to buy off your legitimate wife with $1 million? Fu Enzo's face turned green, then white. He rushed to my desk, planting both hands on it, leaning forward, trying to use his presence to pressure me. That's different. She and I were just what? I looked up, locking eyes with him. Just putting on a show, Fu. Enzo, you might fool others. You might even fool yourself, but do you really believe that? You investigated me. A flicker of shock and doubt crossed his eyes as if something just dawned on him. Who the hell are you? Who I am doesn't matter. I stood up, walked over to him, and reached out to straighten his messy collar, gently, just like I used to. What matters is, you have nothing left now. His body froze. I leaned in close to his ear and whispered in a voice only the two of us could hear. Oh right, forgot to tell you. The first thing I did after acquiring the Fu family was to ice out Sujiana for the rest of her life. She can forget about ever showing up on screen again. Fu Enzo's pupils suddenly contracted. Compared to his own bankruptcy, Sujiana's future seemed to hurt him more. He suddenly grabbed my wrist with such force. It felt like he was trying to crush my bones. You wouldn't dare try me. I flung his hand away, went back to my desk and sat down. My expression as indifferent, as if I were looking at a stranger. Fu Enzo, your biggest mistake was messing with me. Luo Yunxi. He looked at me, eyes full of hatred and confusion. Why did you pretend, with your background? Why act like an orphan to get close to me? What were you after? What was I after? I used to want your love, wanted a home. Now, I want nothing. I just want to see you suffer, watch you fall from the clouds into the mud, never able to climb back up again. Get out, I pressed the intercom. Security, drag him out. A few tall security guards rushed in, grabbing Fu Enzo by both arms. He was still screaming with unwillingness. Luo Yunxi, you liar, you lunatic, you'll regret this. The office door slammed shut, and the world finally went quiet. I leaned back in my chair, closed my eyes, feeling a bit tired. My phone rang. It was Dad. Sixy, all settled. That punk with the last name Fu didn't do anything to you, did he? Number, I smiled. Dad, I want to come home for dinner. All right, I'll have the kitchen make your favorite sweet and sour spare ribs. Dad's voice was full of concern. After hanging up, I stared out at the bustling city beyond the window. This 3-year-long farce was finally over. I thought that was the end of it. Didn't expect Sugiana to come looking for me herself. She asked to meet at a cafe. No makeup, eyes all puffy, looked pitiful as hell. Miss Luo, she started, already on the verge of tears. Please, I'm begging you, let Sinian go. It was all my fault. I was the one who lost my mind. Come at me, just stop going after him. I stirred the coffee in my cup without saying a word. He's got nothing left now, drowning in debt, and the people chasing him down are driving him insane, she said as tears started to fall. I know I've got no right to ask you for anything, but I love him. I can't just sit and watch him be destroyed. Love? I looked up, feeling a little ironic. The day he went bankrupt, you cut all ties with him. Is that what you call love? Sugiana's face turned pale. Her lips moved slightly, but she couldn't say a word. Spare me your fake, pitiful act. I pulled a check out of my bag and pushed it in front of her. This is 5 million. Take it, get out of this city, and never show up in front of us again. She looked at the check. A flash of greed passed through her eyes, but it was quickly replaced by sorrow. No, I don't want the money. She shook her head. I just want Enzo to be okay, Miss Luo. I know you still love him. Otherwise you wouldn't hate him this much. You two had 3 years together. Can you really bear to watch him end up on the streets? What she said actually stunned me for a moment. How did she come to the conclusion that I still love Fu Enzo? Miss Luo, give him another chance. Give yourself a chance too. Sugiana held my hand, her words earnest. He knows he was wrong, right now. His heart is full of you. Really? I pulled my hand back and took a sip of coffee. He sent you here. Sugiana's eyes flickered. Then she nodded firmly. Yes, he said. He's too ashamed to face you, so he asked me to beg you instead. I laughed. Would someone as arrogant as Fu Enzo beg a woman? He looks down on. He would only think I used some disgraceful trick to bring him down to this point. He can't even hate me enough. Miss Sue. I put down my coffee cup and leaned in slightly. Do you think him some easy to fool idiot? Sugiana's expression froze. You think I don't know? You've been sneaking around with the VP of Fu Enzo's company behind his back. You think I don't know that after getting the resources he gave you, you handed them straight to your little lover? With every sentence I said, Sugiana's face grew paler. Your so-called love is enjoying the fame and wealth Fu Enzo gave you while cheating on him at the same time. I stared into her terrified eyes, asking slowly, word by word, how do you know that? Her voice trembled like she'd seen a ghost. Not only do I know all that. I pulled out my phone, opened a video, and placed it in front of her. I also know that when Fu Enzo was being hunted by his enemies, you deliberately led him the wrong way. That's what nearly got him killed. In the video, it showed Sugiana making a deal with a man. That man was the very leader of the group who tried to kill Fu Enzo 3 years ago. Watching the video, all color drained from Sugiana's face, and she collapsed into the chair. Who the hell are you? She looked at me like she was seeing the devil. I put away my phone and stood up gracefully. Someone who can ruin your reputation and make you spend the rest of your life in prison. When Sugiana was taken away by the police, Fu Enzo arrived just in time. He saw Sugiana in a mess with handcuffs on, then looked at me standing coldly to the side, like he instantly understood something. He rushed over, not to question me, but to glare at Sugiana. Is it true what she said? 3 years ago, was it you who set me up? Sugiana's face went pale as death, saying nothing. Silence was the best answer. Fu Enzo's body swayed, his face filled with utter collapse and disbelief. The woman he loved for so many years, the one he gave up his wife for, had used him from beginning to end. She even wanted him dead. And the wife he had personally pushed away turned out to be the one who saved his life in his most critical moment. How ironic. Why, Fu Enzo murmured, as if asking Sugiana, or maybe asking himself. I had no interest in watching their jerking drama, so I turned to leave. But Fu Enzo suddenly grabbed my wrist. Aurora. His voice was hoarse, with a hint of pleading. I am sorry. I turned back and looked at him quietly. I am sorry, I shouldn't have doubted you, shouldn't have hurt you. I was wrong. I really was wrong. His bloodshot eyes actually shimmered with tears. Can you give me another chance? I gently pulled my hand away from his. Fu Enzo, the moment you decided to flaunt your love with her in front of the whole nation, we were already over. No, it is not over. He grabbed my shoulders anxiously. Aurora, the one I love is you. It has always been you. Being with Sugiana was just because she kinda looks like you. That really shattered my understanding of reality. You looked for a stand-in and ended up with the real deal. Fu Enzo. I looked at him like he was the biggest joke. Do you think saying all this now? Yes, of course it does, he said urgently. Aurora, I know I was wrong. I'll change. All the time you've been gone, I think about you every day. Without you, the apartment is cold and lifeless, not home at all. I miss your cooking, I miss your scent. I miss every day and night we spent together. He started listing all our past sweet moments, trying to stir up any lingering feelings I had for him. But he didn't know. My heart had already died the moment he handed me those divorce papers. Are you done? I waited till he finished before speaking coldly. If you are done, step aside. You are in my way. Fu Enzo's expression froze on his face. He probably never expected that, after throwing away all his dignity to beg. All he'd get in return was this kind of cold indifference. Aurora, President Fu. I cut him off, deliberately keeping my distance. Please understand, we're already divorced. I am now the president of Luo Capital. And you are just a bankrupt man carrying over 10 billion in debt. The gap between us is like heaven and earth. Every single word was like a knife, stabbing brutally into his heart. His face turned pale, on the verge of collapse. I am not giving up. He looked at me, a flash of obsessive madness in his eyes. Aurora, you are mine. In this life, you always will be. Even if I have to use every means possible, I'll win you back." With that, he turned around and stumbled away. Watching his pathetic back, I didn't feel even a hint of satisfaction, just pure disgust, like a damn piece of clingy dog skin plaster I couldn't get rid of. I underestimated how obsessive Fu Enzo could be. He started harassing me in all kinds of ways, blocking me downstairs at my company, waiting outside my home, even bribing the media to spread fake news about us getting back together. Breaking: Luo Capital's female president and bankrupt ex-husband rumored to reunite, seen returning to Love Nest late at night. The news photo was a blurry shot of him forcefully hugging me when I wasn't paying attention. Rumors exploded overnight. Everyone says that I, the heir of the Luo family, am a hopeless romantic, still hung up on a scumbag who once betrayed me. Even the company's stock price has taken a slight hit because of it. My dad called, his voice full of concern. "Sixy, do you want Dad to take care of it and make him disappear for good?" "No need, Dad." I rubbed my temples. "This is my mess. I'll clean it up myself. I don't want to rely on the family's power anymore. To deal with someone like Fu Enzo, I need to use my own methods to make him give up completely." I asked Fu Enzo to meet up at that abandoned factory where we first met. He showed up right on time, with a smug smile like he thought I'd finally come back to him. "Aurora, I knew it. You still have feelings for me." He opened his arms, trying to hug me. I took a step back and avoided him. "Fu Enzo, let's put an end to this." I looked him in the eyes, cold and sharp. "Didn't you want to win me back? I'm giving you a chance." He froze. I took a dagger out of my bag and threw it at his feet. 3 years ago, I saved you here. Today, you give that life back to me, and we're even." Fu Enzo stared at the dagger on the ground, the smile slowly vanishing from his face. "Aurora, what do you mean by this? Don't understand." I sneered. "Either you stab yourself, or I'll help you." His face turned extremely ugly. "Are you insane?" "I am not insane." I stepped toward him, closing in. "You are the one who drove me mad. Fu Enzo, I gave you a chance. You were the one who didn't take it. You destroyed my love, my family, and now you want to ruin my career and reputation too. Do you think I'd still show you mercy?" He kept backing away under my pressure until his back hit the cold wall. Nowhere left to run. "Aurora, we don't have to go this far. I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong." Too late. I picked up the dagger from the floor, its sharp tip aimed right at his heart. "Do it," I said. "Don't make me look down on you." Sweat beaded on his forehead, and his body trembled slightly from fear. He looked at me, then at the dagger, eyes full of conflict and terror. He didn't dare. This man who claimed to love me enough to give up everything, when faced with death, chose himself without hesitation. The last ridiculous bit of hope in my heart was completely crushed. Coward, I withdrew the dagger and turned to leave. Behind me, Fu Enzo collapsed to the floor like all the strength had drained from him, gasping for air against the wall. I didn't look back again. Starting today, the name Fu Enzo will be completely erased from my world. I thought the storm would die down just like that. Never expected a bigger conspiracy was brewing in the shadows. Luo Capital was suddenly hit by an unprecedented ambush. The methods were clean and precise. Every move fatal, like a giant net already woven, just waiting for us to step in. The company's stock price plummeted. Several key overseas projects ran into trouble one after another. Moles kept popping up. Luo family was thrown into a massive crisis. Dad flew back urgently from abroad to take command. But things still looked grim. The opponent's strength was unfathomable. Maybe even above the Luo family. Did we find out who's behind this? Dad's face was more serious than I'd ever seen. The assistant shook his head. They're hiding really well. All the fund flows have gone through dozens of layers, completely untraceable. Their tactics are a lot like yours, sir. Maybe even more ruthless. Dad's pupils contracted sharply. My heart sank too. A terrifying thought crept into my mind. Just then, my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. I picked up, and a familiar voice came through, with a hint of a smile. Aurora, long time no see. Do you like the gift I sent you? It is Fu Enzo. No, that is not right. His voice is the same, but the tone and aura are completely different. No longer a paranoid, crazed stray dog, but a kingly presence, strategic and in full control. Who the hell are you? I asked in a low voice. A soft chuckle came from the other end of the line. Who I am doesn't matter, he said. What matters is, your father's good days are over. What is your relationship with Fu Enzo? Oh, him. The tone carried a hint of disdain. He is nothing more than a pawn of mine, just a tool to get close to you and test your father. My heart instantly sank to the bottom. Pawn. That word was like a bullet, piercing straight through my final defenses. The phone slipped from my stiff hand, hitting the carpet with a dull thud. And with that thud, my world completely collapsed, then reshaped itself. Everything suddenly made sense. Why would someone as arrogant and prideful as Fu Enzo fall for a so-called orphan girl? At first sight, even going so far as to marry me in secret. Why our married life was filled with deliberately tender moments, but always felt like something thin and invisible was between us. Why he could dump me without a second thought, and instantly start a national PDA performance with Sugiana. Turns out, from the very beginning, he was just a pawn. And I was the target being checkmated on the board. Sixy. My father's voice pulled me back from the icy abyss. I don't know when he had come to my side, his broad palm resting on my shoulder, conveying a steady strength. I looked up and met his eyes full of worry. Dad, I think, we've pissed off a lunatic. I repeated everything from the call to my father, word for word. The atmosphere in the study was so heavy, it felt like it could drip water. The assistant team was typing rapidly on the keyboards beside us, and one piece of bad news after another piled up like snowflakes, flashing across the huge screen. 3 major partners in the European market terminated contracts simultaneously, citing force majeure. The mineral project in South America was abruptly halted by the local government, and the person in charge is missing. Our highest level mole planted in the rival company was exposed and kicked out. Every blow landed precisely on the Luo family's vital spot. The opponent's attacks were fast, accurate, and ruthless. Not a single wasted move, like a seasoned hunter who patiently sets up the trap, then snaps it shut in an instant. This kind of manipulation. My father stared at the cliff, like plummet of the stock price on the screen, brows tightly furrowed. It has a trace of my style, but it's even more vicious, even more reckless. He turned his head to look at me, his expression more serious than ever. Sixy, the Fu Enzo you married, he is not simple. I tugged at the corner of my mouth, revealing a bitter smile. He is not just not simple, he is a total puppet, a pathetic fool who doesn't even know he is a chess piece. That man who pissed himself in fear when I scared him with a dagger in that abandoned factory. How could he possibly come up with such a meticulous plan? He doesn't have the brains, let alone the guts. The Fu family dad muttered to himself. He walked to the massive floor-to-ceiling window, staring at the city shrouded in night. I fought the previous generation of the Fu family for half my life, knocked them down from the top, I thought they'd never recover. He suddenly turned around, strode to the desk, picked up an encrypted phone, and dialed a number. Old Ma, help me look into someone. In the Fu family, besides Fu Enzo, are there any other kids? There was silence on the other end for so long, I almost thought the signal had cut off. Chairman Luo. An elderly voice finally came through. Hesitant. The Fu family had twins back then. The older one was named Fu Atlas, the younger one Fu Enzo. But that older brother 15 years ago died in a car accident overseas. Car accident? Dad's tone shot up suddenly. Yeah, it was all over the news back then. Supposedly, not even bones were left. After hanging up the phone, Dad's face looked, not even bones left. He repeated those 4 words, slamming his fist hard on the desk. What a brilliant shell game. We were all fooled. In that instant everything clicked for me. Fu Atlas, that man on the phone, the one speaking with calculated control and disdain in his voice. That was him. The man who was supposed to have died 15 years ago had been lurking in the shadows all this time, just for today, to launch the most lethal revenge on the Luo family. And Fu Enzo, his twin brother, who was pushed into the spotlight, was the perfect pawn he planted right next to the Luo family's heart. To get close to me. He knew all of Fu Enzo's weaknesses: vanity, arrogance, lust, stupidity. He might have even orchestrated the whole relationship between Fu Enzo and Sugiana, just to strike me down when I was at my lowest and most vulnerable. Such deep scheming, such ruthless methods. Me heart throbbed with a sharp, crawling ache, not for that pathetic marriage, but for my own 3 years of stupidity. I thought I was falling in love with a man, but all along I was sleeping next to a demon. He is going for the kill and the heart. I looked at my father, my voice terrifyingly calm. He is attacking the company to break you. He used Fu Enzo to deceive me, to destroy me. He wants both of us, father and daughter, ruined and disgraced, left with nothing. He is too arrogant. A flash of cold light passed through my father's eyes. If he had stayed hidden in the shadows, we might really have been helpless. But he just had to make this call. He wants to watch us struggle and suffer with his own eyes. That is his weakness. I picked up where my father left off. We exchanged a look, instantly understanding each other's thoughts. A vengeful man who has waited 15 years. His greatest weapon is mystery, and his greatest weakness is that arrogant heart, eager to savor victory. Dad, we've already lost the initiative in a conventional business war. I walked to the massive city model and looked at the model representing the Luo Corporation. It was already surrounded by countless red arrows. We can't play by his script. What do you want to do? Fu Atlas's blade is Fu Enzo. I reached out and picked up the small chess piece representing Fu Enzo from the board. Now, it's time this blade got a new master. My father looked at me, eyes filled with pride and approval. My daughter has truly grown up. He picked up the internal line phone, his voice returning to its usual calm and authority. Notify all departments. From now on, all decisions of the Luo Corporation will be fully handled by Vice President Luo Yongxi. My orders are her orders. After hanging up the phone, he handed the entire battlefield over to me. Without a second of hesitation, I immediately dialed my chief assistant's number. Amy, activate the Hive plan. Amy on the other end paused for a second, then responded, Yes, President Luo. The Hive was an intelligence network I personally built 3 years ago, independent from the Luo Corporation, and answering only to me. It was my final trump card, prepared solely for myself. I thought I would never have to use it. Target Fu Enzo. My voice was icy cold. I want every single move he's made in the past 24 hours, down to the second. Every person he's met, every word he's said. Dig 3 feet underground if you have to. Find him for me, understood. After setting everything in motion, I walked to the window and looked out at the city I once knew, like the back of my hand. At this moment, in my eyes, it had become a giant chessboard. And I, at last, had changed from a pawn to the hand that moves the pieces. Fu Atlas, you think you've won? You destroyed my love, so I'll destroy your pawns. You touched my family, so I'll flip your entire chessboard. This game has only just begun. The phone screen lit up. It was the first report from Amy, a photo, taken an hour ago, at the most luxurious private hospital in the city center, outside the VIP ward. Fu Enzo was anxiously pacing back and forth. Standing next to him was Sugiana's manager. The report had a small line of text. Sugiana attempted suicide. Wrist slitting, no longer in critical condition. Looking at Fu Enzo's haggard yet deeply affectionate face in the photo, I suddenly found it ridiculously ironic. His brother was out there stirring up a monstrous storm, about to flip the entire world upside down. And he, this absolutely critical chess piece, was still heartbroken over another woman's tears. It's just pathetic and laughable. I picked up the phone and sent Amy a second instruction. Prepare a grand gift. Send it to the hospital, under my name. The VIP ward at the private hospital was so quiet, you could hear a heartbeat. Fu Enzo sat at the bedside, looking at Sugiana's pale little face and the thick bandages wrapped around her wrist. A wave of pain twisted in his chest, even though he now knew part of her betrayal. Seeing her use this kind of method to make amends still made him soften. Maybe she had her reasons. Just then, there was a knock on the hospital room door. A man in a high-end suit walked in, followed by 2 assistants. Together, they carried an enormous gift box, tied with a dramatic bow made of delicate black ribbon. "May I ask, who is Mr. Fu Enzo?" The leading man's voice was formal. Fu Enzo stood up, frowning. "I am. This is a gift from Miss Luo Yungxi to you and Miss Sugiana. Congratulations to both of you. May you be bound in love forever, and enjoy a long and happy union." After speaking, the man gave a slight bow, then left briskly with his assistants. Bound in love forever, long and happy union. Fu Enzo stared at the gift box, which was bigger than a coffin, and a chill crept up from his feet. He stepped forward, yanked off the ribbon, and opened the lid. Inside, there were no flowers, no jewels. Just an ultra-thin LCD screen, lying quietly on black velvet. The screen was on. It was looping a video, a full recording of Sugiana's deal with that assassin leader, with clear audio and high-definition visuals. Next to the screen were neatly framed paper documents. There were photocopies of contracts where Sugiana secretly transferred company resources to her boy toy. There were intimate photos of her and the Fu family's deputy CEO, covering the entire span of their relationship. There is also a detailed report on the flow of funds, documenting how 3 years ago she gradually led the enemy straight to his hiding place. Every piece of evidence was like a red-hot branding iron, searing Fu Enzo's eyes. Sugiana on the bed saw it too. Her face, once tinged with a sickly beauty, instantly lost all color and trembled like a leaf in the autumn wind. "Enzo, let me explain. It is not what it looks like." Fu Enzo didn't look at her. He reached out and picked up the top document. It was a paternity test report. The test subjects were Sugiana, her little lover, and the unborn baby she had just miscarried, the one she claimed belonged to Fu Enzo. In the results column it said, probability of biological father-son relationship, 99.9999%. So even her suicide was an act, using someone else's child to win his final bit of sympathy. Fu, Enzo suddenly laughed. He laughed so hard his shoulders shook, and tears rolled down his face. He felt like the ultimate fool played like a puppet, yet still foolishly heartbroken for her. Why? He finally turned his head, his voice eerily calm. Sugiana was terrified by his expression. She struggled to get out of bed. Enzo, you have to believe me. It was Luo Yongxi. She forged it. She is trying to ruin us. Really? Fu Enzo picked up that monitor and walked step by step to her bedside. He bent down and brought the screen right up to her face. Tell me, how did she fake this video, huh? And these photos, these contracts, these transfer records. She faked all of them too. With every question, Sugiana shrank back a little. And this child? Fu Enzo pointed at the paternity report, his voice cracking a bit. Did she shove this one into your belly too? Sugiana completely broke down, clutching her face and letting out a sharp, wailing cry. Fu Enzo looked at her, the last trace of warmth on his face completely gone. He put the monitor and all the documents, one by one, back into that massive gift box. Then, he closed the lid and tied up the black bow. Once he finished all that, he turned around and left, not sparing Sugiana a single glance. Enzo, where are you going? Don't go. Are you leaving me? Sugiana's cries were shut behind the door. Fu Enzo stepped out of the hospital. The sunlight was blinding, but he felt cold to the bone. He pulled out his phone, hands trembling, and dialed the number he had once blocked. The phone rang once, then was hung up top floor office of Luo Capital. I stared at the real-time hospital surveillance Amy had just sent and hung up on Fu Enzo's call without a change in expression. Get rid of all his contact info, I ordered Amy. I don't want to see that name ever again. Yes, President Luo. My father, Luo Mateo, pushed the door open and came in holding a cup of hot milk. That puppet, is it cleaned up? Almost. I took the milk, the warmth spreading from my palm to my heart. A piece of trash who can't even remember his own last name. He is useless now. What about Fu Atlas? I walked over to the massive electronic sand table. The blue territory representing the Luo family was still surrounded by dense red arrows, looking even more precarious than yesterday. He is very cautious. The hive used all its resources and could only trace his funding back to an offshore fund called Abyss. The registration info is fake. This guy is like a ghost living in the internet. Even ghosts have to walk. My father tapped the sand table lightly with his finger. He's been hiding for 15 years. There's no way he left no trace. He must have a physical base, a place where he gives his orders. I've already sent Amy to investigate. I looked at a model of an old Fu family residence on the sand table, long abandoned for years. 15 years ago, after the Fu family incident, all assets were liquidated. Only this ancestral house was kept due to a property rights dispute. Father nodded approvingly. The most dangerous place is the safest place. He's very likely hiding there. Then should we now? Number, I interrupted Father. We can't go. If we go now, we'll alert the enemy. Fu Atlas is a maniac with an inflated ego. What he enjoys most right now is watching us being driven to the edge, struggling in pain. The more we fight back, the more thrilled he gets. I picked up a black chess piece and placed it beside the model of the old house. To deal with a lunatic, you can't use common sense. A smirk tugged at the corner of my mouth. I'll make him use his proudest creation to destroy his own nest. The night was deep and dark. Fu Enzo wandered the streets like a lost soul. He lost, utterly defeated, with nothing left. The company was gone, the money gone. The woman he loved was a liar. The woman he hated, he didn't even have the right to see her. He didn't know where to go. Just as he reached an intersection, staring blankly in all directions, a black car pulled up beside him. The window rolled down. It was a middle-aged man with gold-rimmed glasses, looking gentle and refined. "Are you young Master Enzo?" Fu Enzo looked at him warily. "I'm the old butler of the Fu family, Uncle Fu," the man introduced himself. "Before the old master passed away, he instructed me to give this to you if you ever fell into misfortune." Uncle Fu handed over an old wooden box and an envelope. Fu Enzo took it and opened the envelope. Inside was a bunch of keys and an address. It was the Fu family's old house that had been abandoned for over 10 years. It was like grabbing the last lifeline. He hailed a cab and rushed straight to the address. The old house was perched on a hill in the suburbs. The iron gate rusty, the yard overgrown with weeds, reeking of decay. He used the key to open the heavy front gate and stepped inside. The house was covered in dust, the air thick with a musty, rotten smell. Following Uncle Fu's instructions, he found the study. In a hidden compartment in the study, he found the wooden box. The box wasn't locked. He opened it easily. Inside wasn't some priceless treasure, just a thick diary. On the first page of the diary were two identical faces, two little boys in matching outfits, grinning innocently. Fu Enzo recognized them. It was him and his brother Fu Atlas. His hands trembled as he flipped to the first page. The handwriting felt unfamiliar, but there was something strangely familiar about it too. The 12th of June, sunny. That old fox Luo Mateo finally took the bait. The Fu family is gone, but I'm still alive. From today on, Fu Atlas no longer exists. The 3rd of August, Enzo is such an idiot. Just a few sweet words, and he's eating out of my hand. Fine by me. A compliant puppet is easier to control. 3 years ago, the plan went smoothly. That idiot Enzo nearly died, but it didn't matter. My pawn, Luo Yongxi, saved him. She fell for him. What a joke. Fell in love with a character tailor, made just for her. Fu Enzo flipped page after page, feeling like the blood in his body had completely frozen. So it turns out, his life, the business empire he took pride in, the love that etched itself into his soul, even every breath he took, were all part of a grand design. He wasn't Fu Enzo. He was just his brother Fu Atlas's shadow, a puppet on strings controlled for 15 years. The last page of the diary was dated yesterday. There was only one sentence written there. The game is nearing its end. It's time for this useless piece to disappear from the board. Plop! The diary slipped from Fu Enzo's trembling hands and landed on the dust-covered floor. The world spun. A sharp buzzing rang in his ears. The pride of 15 years, the business empire he built from scratch, his self-righteous love for Sugiana, the way he cast aside Aurora from above. All of it had become a complete joke. A joke woven by his own biological brother, Fu Atlas, with his own hands. Lasting 15 years. He wasn't Fu Enzo. He was just a shadow called Fu Enzo. A tool carefully raised for revenge. He suddenly lunged at the wall, slamming his fist hard against it. The clash of bone and wall made a dull thud, and blood instantly soaked the surface. But he couldn't feel the pain. The pain of the body wasn't even 1/10,000th of the torment of a soul being dismembered. Why? He slid down against the wall to sit on the floor, like a trapped beast with its spine ripped out, letting out a desperate roar. Why me? The door to the study was silently pushed open, and the man who called himself Uncle Fu walked in. He didn't look at Fu Enzo at all, just casually pulled out a bottle of high-proof vodka and an old-style Zippo lighter from his coat, placing them on the dusty desk. The old master used to say. Uncle Fu's voice echoed eerily in the empty room. Some things are too filthy. Water won't clean them. You need fire. One blaze to burn away all the shame and sin. Only then can you start anew. After speaking, he turned and left, as if he had merely come to deliver two trivial items. Fu Enzo's eyes were locked tightly on that bottle of wine and the lighter. Just then, from a corner of the room, a speaker disguised as a decoration suddenly emitted a static zzz sound. Right after, a voice that was both familiar and strange to him echoed out, carrying a hint of mockery and condescending pity. My dear little brother, done reading the diary. Are you satisfied with your life? It was Fu Atlas. Fu Enzo jerked his head up, his bloodshot eyes scanning every corner of the room like he was hunting for the devil lurking in the shadows. You, where are you? Get the hell out here. I am in every corner of your life, my dear brother. Fu Atlas chuckled softly. Every piece of clothing you wear, every car you drive, every woman you sleep with, I picked them all for you, including Luo Yongxi. She is a gift I gave you, and myself, the most perfect gift of all. You are insane, Fu Enzo roared. I am insane. Number Fu Atlas's tone suddenly turned icy. It was all of you, Lu Mateo. You destroyed the Fu family, ruined everything I had. I am just taking back what is mine, and you are nothing more than the handiest knife in my revenge plan. You think Luo Yongxi fell in love with you. It's because I studied her for 3 years. I know her better than she knows herself. I made sure you showed up when she needed help the most. I made you say exactly what she most wanted to hear. I shaped you into the kind of man she likes best. What you thought was love was just a script I wrote for you. Every word was like a poisoned steel needle, stabbing straight into Fu Enzo's heart. As for Sugiana, Fu Atlas's tone was full of contempt, that kind of trash who can't even show her face in public. You're the only idiot who'd treat her like a treasure. But hey, she did a good job pissing off Luo Yongxi for us. Made the drama even juicier. So I guess you served your final purpose well enough. Now that the show's over, this dull blade of yours should be scrapped too. The voice from the speaker cut off abruptly. A piercing alarm suddenly blared through the entire old mansion. Security system activated. Building will undergo physical purification in 10 minutes. Countdown initiated. The cold mechanical female voice announced his time of death. Fu Atlas was going to kill him to silence him. Using this old house, holding all his childhood memories, as his grave. Ha 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 ha! Fu Enzo suddenly burst into laughter, tears and snot running down his face, laughing like a madman in utter despair. He staggered to his feet, grabbed the bottle of vodka on the table, twisted off the cap, and furiously splashed the liquor into every corner of the study. He splashed it onto that damned diary, onto the plaque symbolizing the Fu family's glory, and onto the carpet where he and his brother used to play together. Script gift pawn, he muttered to himself, a look of mutual destruction madness in his eyes. Since my life is a lie, then I'll burn it to ashes with my own hands. He picked up that Zippo lighter with a click. An orange-yellow flame danced in the darkness. He stared at the flame like he was looking at his pathetic and laughable life. He let go, allowing the lighter to fall onto the alcohol-soaked carpet. Boom! A dragon of fire instantly devoured the entire study and spread outward at an alarming speed top. Level command room of Luo Capital. On the huge screen, Dozens of split screens were broadcasting real-time footage of the Fu family's old mansion. Flames burst from the study's window, dyeing half the night sky red. He really lit it. Father Luo Mateo stared at the screen, his expression complex. I held a cup of coffee, calmly watching the soaring flames. That wasn't his choice, I said. Fu Atlas forced him to choose it. Fu Atlas is way too arrogant. He thinks he is God and can mess with other people's lives however he wants. But he forgot, no matter how obedient a puppet is, if you push it to the edge, it'll fight back. On the screen, a figure stumbled out through the flames, only to be quickly subdued by my people, lying in wait outside, hooded and shoved into the vehicle. It was Fu Enzo. The Hive agents had already cracked Fu Atlas's security system, before Uncle Fu went in, and laid out the only escape route for Fu Enzo. What I want isn't a corpse, but a living knife, sharp enough to number Fu, Atlas right in the heart. Amy walked over and handed me an encrypted phone. President Luo, it's connected. I took the call, listening to the slightly rapid breathing on the other end, fueled by anger, with a faint smirk on my lips. Good evening, Fu Atlas. Did you enjoy the fireworks I sent you? Luo Yangshi. The voice on the other end had lost all its earlier calm and teasing, replaced by a furious roar. It was you! You planned all of this! Wouldn't call it designing. I lazily blew on the hot coffee. I just tweaked the final scene of the script you wrote for your brother. After all, a hero deserves a proper exit, doesn't he? You think destroying my base means you've won. You are too naive. I never expected to win with just one fire. I gently set down the coffee cup, let out a light chuckle into the phone mic. I just wanted to let you know, the rules of the game have changed. I gestured to the side. Amy understood, and handed a recording device to Fu Enzo, who had just been brought in. Ah, a painful, muffled scream came clearly through the current to the other end of the call. Fu Atlas's voice instantly froze. You got him? Don't make it sound so ugly. I walked over to Fu Enzo, squatted down, looked into his bloodshot, desperate eyes, and gently wiped the ash off his face with a handkerchief. I just figured, it's time your 15-year-old blade had a new owner. I took the phone, brought it close to my lips and spoke slowly, one word at a time, so only the two of us could hear. Now, your blade is in my hand. I hung up the call, clean and sharp. Only the faint hum of machinery remained in the command room. Fu Enzo was being held up by two people, like a pile of mush. And those eyes that were once full of spirit were now nothing but hollow and lifeless. I walked up to him, looking down from above. Two choices. My voice was soft, but it lashed at his crumbling nerves like a whip. 1. I hand you over to the police. Arson, multiple charges stacked. You'll spend the rest of your life behind bars. Your dear big brother would probably love to admire you through the glass on visiting days, looking like a pathetic stray dog. Fu Enzo's body trembled violently, a hoarse sound gurgling from his throat. 2. I paused, savoring the fear surfacing on his face. Be my dog. He suddenly looked up, bloodshot eyes glaring at me, humiliation and rage tangled in his gaze. I'll help you get revenge. I ignored his anger and continued. Make you personally. Send that good brother of yours to hell. Once it's done, I'll give you some money to get out of this country, disappear, and live out your pitiful days in anonymity. The command room fell into dead silence. Everyone was staring at him, waiting for his answer. A few seconds later, all the light in Fu Enzo's hate-filled eyes slowly faded away. His knees buckled, and he dropped heavily to the ground in front of me. I choose the second option. His head hung low, and his voice was so hoarse, it sounded like sandpaper scraping. Please, let me bite him to death. I laughed. Very good. A blade without a mind of its own, only burning with the desire for revenge, is the sharpest kind of weapon. Amy. I turned away without sparing him another glance. Clean him up and get him changed. Don't let him look like this mess in front of my eyes. My father, Luo Matteo, came out from the back room and handed me a document. This is all the public information on the Abysses Fund. Fu Atlas's firewall is too strong. We used all our resources, and this is all we could find. Just surface level stuff. I opened the file. It was packed with shell companies and complex money flow charts, like a giant spider web. Dad, when it comes to a viper, you can't wait for it to bite you. I closed the file. We need to strike first and drag it out of its hole. I walked up to the massive electronic sandbox and pointed at the model representing Luo Corporation's headquarters. Fu Atlas's target, from beginning to end, has always been this place. He enjoys the cat and mouse game. He wants to watch us get forced into a corner, step by step. So, let's put on a show for him. I looked at my father, eyes burning. I need you to fall ill. Dad was stunned at first, then quickly caught on to what I meant, a sly glint flashing in his eyes. Stroke or a sudden heart attack? Stroke, I guess, I thought for a second. Fits better with your current character setting of under immense pressure, completely exhausted. Keep the news under wraps, but make it seem like an accidental leak, so the eyes Fu Atlas planted around us catch wind of it. And then, I looked toward the door, at Fu Enzo. Just changed into clean clothes, but still like a walking corpse. It's time for this good dog to make an entrance. Half an hour later, Fu Enzo was brought to me. I tossed him an encrypted phone. There's a number in there. It belongs to your brother's most trusted financial advisor. Also, a hidden piece he placed overseas. He'll use a special channel to report any intel he deems valuable to Fu Atlas. Fu Enzo gripped the phone, his fingers turning white from the force. I need you to tell him Luo Matteo collapsed from a stroke. The Luo family is now in the hands of me, his useless daughter who only knows how to flirt. Everything's a mess. The banks are pressing for debt, the execs are disillusioned, the shareholders are planning a coup. Basically, the worse, the better. I stared into his eyes. Remember, you only get one shot at this performance. Channel every ounce of resentment and despair you've built up over the past 15 years of being played. Don't let me down. Fu Enzo didn't say a word, just nodded heavily. He dialed that number. The moment the call connected, his voice carried just the right amount of panic and breakdown, tearfully retelling what I taught him with some added drama. His acting was so good, it even caught me off guard. Maybe this wasn't acting at all. This was, in that moment, his truest emotion. After hanging up, it was like all the strength drained out of him. He collapsed to the floor. I ignored him and turned back into the command room. On the huge screen, the fund's flow chart representing the Abysses Fund suddenly started violently fluctuating after several hours of silence. Countless funds scattered across the globe began surging madly toward a single point, like streams converging. He took the bait. Amy's voice had a trace of excitement. He's pulling together all his funds to deliver the final blow to the Luo family. He wants to win too badly. I looked at the ever-growing financial net, eyes cold. 15 years of patience made him obsessive and arrogant. He thought that with father down, I'd be helpless on the chopping block, so he couldn't wait to lay out all his cards. Father walked up to me, patted my shoulder. "Sixy, it's up to you now." I nodded, staring at the massive pool of funds finally formed on the screen. It was like a greedy beast, opening its bloody jaws, ready to devour the Luo family. And the central node of this financial network is an investment company that was just registered in Switzerland. In the legal representative section, a name stands out: Fu Atlas. He finally stepped out of the shadows. I picked up the red internal line phone on the command desk, and my voice clearly spread throughout the entire command center. Amy, notify the Swiss bank to freeze the account. Notify all the law firms we cooperate with globally to file lawsuits against the Abysses Fund and its legal representative Fu Atlas for multiple crimes such as financial fraud, malicious acquisition, unfair competition, and others. Notify all the media we've bought off to write the story of the Fu brothers' 15 years of grudges and enmities into an annual drama, and make it trend globally. I want him ruined. I issued order after order, calmly and decisively. Finally, I dialed the chief assistant's number, looking at the screen, showing the financial network that had fallen into chaos due to the frozen accounts. Activate the final plan. Close the net. The world seemed to be fast forwarded. On the giant screen of the Luo Capital Command Center, the red territory representing the Abysses Fund was visibly collapsing at a rapid pace. Exclusive headline: Mysterious business magnate Fu Atlas identity exposed. Turns out to be the Fu family's eldest son who faked his death 15 years ago. Financial earthquake, Swiss bank freezes, Abysses Fund's trillion assets, multiple countries launch joint investigations. Wealthy family feud. The Fu family twins turn against each other. Turns out the younger brother was just a pawn in the elder's revenge plan. A 3-year marriage exposed as a jaw-dropping scam. The news spread like a virus to every corner of the globe. The name, Fu Atlas, after vanishing for 15 years, returned to the public eye in the most humiliating and disgraceful way. I cut off his capital chain with one strike. All his escape routes were blocked by legal documents. His mysterious facade was ripped to shreds by media and public opinion. 15 years of lurking, 15 years of scheming, all vanished the moment I hit the close net button. My personal phone finally rang. It was Fu Atlas. I picked up and turned on speaker, letting everyone in the command room hear how this former god was now screaming his lungs out. Luo Yongxi, you venomous bitch, may you die a horrible death? Gone was the composed chuckle of a master strategist. What came through was furious, frenzied roaring. I lifted the cup of coffee that had long gone cold and took a light sip. Fu Atlas, game over, you lost. I didn't lose. How could I lose to a woman like you? He howled. I still have cards to play. I can still turn this around. Oh yeah. I let out a light chuckle. You mean those old farts you planted on the Luo family board? Or the hackers you bribed to attack our system? I paused for a moment and clearly told him. The former are having tea with the Disciplinary Inspection Department. The latter are being hunted down by the Global Cybersecurity Alliance. Oh, and by the way, the local police should be arriving soon at those safe houses you hid overseas. On the other end of the phone, there was a deathly silence. I had flipped over all his trump cards. How could you possibly know all this? His voice was full of disbelief and collapse. Because. I stood up, walked to Fu Enzo, who was kneeling on the ground, and held the phone to his mouth. The knife you trusted most, from the beginning, had its blade pointed straight at your own heart. Fu Enzo lifted his lifeless face, looked at the phone, and with all the strength he had left, spat out 3 words. Bro, I hate you. A beast. Like howl came from the other end. Then the signal was cut off. It was all over. 3 days later, Fu Atlas was arrested in an abandoned dock warehouse. At the time of arrest, he was gaunt, looked insane, and kept mumbling, "I didn't lose." He will face joint prosecution from dozens of countries, and a prison sentence long enough to rot in jail. As for Sujiana, she was taken away by the police on the second day at the hospital, suspected of fraud, corporate espionage, and a deliberate assault case from 3 years ago. What awaited her was also a long life behind bars. After I wrapped up all the company's follow-up matters, I arranged to meet Fu Enzo one evening at sunset. The location was at the entrance of the villa that used to be our home. He stood there, wearing the clothes I had someone send over. He'd lost a lot of weight, his eyes were hollow, like a shell without a soul. I got out of the car and handed him a bank card and a passport. "There's enough money in here for you to live out the rest of your life peacefully in any country. The passport and identity are brand new." He didn't take them, just looked at me. His lips moved for a long time before he finally let out a hoarse voice. "Can we ever go back?" I looked at him like I'd just heard the biggest joke ever. "Fu Enzo," I said calmly, "the moment you brought Sujiana on that dating show and made the whole country think she was Mrs. Fu, we already couldn't go back. The moment you had someone send that $1 million divorce agreement, trying to kick me out with nothing, we already couldn't go back. Between you and me, there was never love. It was always one big scam, and you were the saddest clown in the whole mess." I threw the bank card and passport into his hands. "Get lost, and never show up in front of me again." With that, I turned and walked away without a shred of hesitation. Behind me came a muffled, despairing cry. But I didn't look back. A month later, I held a global press conference as the new chairwoman of Luo Capital. In the massive conference hall, the flashes were bright as daylight. I stood at the center of the podium, facing the global media, calm and confident. The woman who once hid behind her husband, unseen by the world, was gone. Standing here now is Luo Yongxi, the sole heir of the Luo family, the new queen of this vast business empire. Me father sat in the front row, looking at me, his eyes full of relief and pride. After the press conference, I walked out of the building. The sun was just right, shining on me, warm and bright. I took off my sunglasses and looked at this bustling city, packed with traffic and people. In the sky, a plane streaked by, leaving a long white trail, flying toward the unknown. Just like my life, free from all shackles and shadows, I can finally fly toward a sky that truly belongs to me, vast and wide.